Alright, in this video, I'm going to be going over how you can double your monthly revenue by simply fixing your offer. The same way ETN went from 5K a month to 43K a month in just 60 days. The same way Faham went from 12K a month to 68K a month in just 90 days. And the same way Sarvesh went from $500 a month to $16,000 a month with his offer in just 7 days, right? Now the simple answer to this and how you can do this for yourself is by just doubling your prices because you'll make more money doing it. Right? Now, maybe you don't believe me, okay? But will you believe Alex Hermosi, who says that raising prices almost always makes you more money? Will you believe Michael Girdley, who says that he's had several times where he's raised prices, but the amount of sales he's gotten has went up? Or maybe would you believe Connor Abeen, who said that a simple 5% price hike for one of his clients generated an additional $100,000 in profit? Or maybe you're an academic. Would you then believe Harvard University, who found that a 1% improvement in price led to an 11% increase in profit? Would you believe me then? Well, hopefully you would, okay? But you're probably asking how. How can you go about doubling your prices and still having any customers, right? Well, the honest truth is you can't, right? You can't just expect to double the prices on your current offer and make double the revenue, right? In most cases, that's just not how it works, and I'm not oblivious to that. So what you need to do is create an offer and a product that's actually worth the price that you want to sell it at, right? So instead of looking at your current skill set, at your current offer and pricing it that way, instead think about what you want to sell your service for ideally, right? And create an offer that's truly worth that price, right? That's how you're going to scale to 100K a month and beyond, okay? But how do you actually do that? Well, you can do this by simply figuring out why people won't pay you money and then figuring out a way to make them want to do so, right? It's literally as simple as that. Okay, and how you go about actually doing that is pre-handling every objection you can face on a sales call as a coach, consultant, or agency owner, right? And that's price. I can find this for cheaper. Product. I don't trust this will work for me. And lifestyle. I don't have time to do this, right? 99.9% of all objections you're going to face on a sales call are going to fall into one of these three buckets, right? Price, product, or lifestyle, okay? And so if you can simply create an offer that pre-handles all of these objections for you, then you'll have double the amount of clients paying you double the price. Now, if you want me to create this offer done for you and scale it to 50K a month and beyond, then head to the first link in the description. But let's go through it one by one, right? So we figured out that there's three common objections we face, right? Product, price, and lifestyle, okay? How do we handle each one? By simply fixing our offer, right? That's the question. Let's start with product, okay? So what you need to do is create a product that solves the entirety of your customer's gap, right? And makes it completely unreasonable for them not to achieve their dream desired situation based on where they currently are. What does that mean, right? Well, it essentially means that your offer, okay, needs to bridge the gap from your prospect's current situation to their desired situation, right? Your offer needs to be the bridge from where your prospect is currently to where they want to be in terms of revenue, right? It's as simple as that, okay? So for example, let's say you're running a biz ops offer, right? Where you're targeting coaches, consultants, and agency owners, right? And helping them scale from 10K a month to 50K a month and beyond, right? So very similar to my kind of offer, okay? What you need to do is you need to figure out a way to solve the entirety of their gap and make it completely unreasonable for them not to achieve their dream desired situation based on where they currently are. That's when you can charge super high ticket prices. So how much do you think the bridge for this gap is worth? Right? If you can scale a coach, consultant, or agency owner from 10K a month to 50K a month and beyond, how much do you think that's worth? Well, if you're asking me, I think you can very realistically, right? As long as you can actually guarantee that result, and as long as you have the case studies and testimonials to back that up, when you can charge $20,000 to bridge that gap, you really can, right? And the only reason I wouldn't say even more than that, like $40,000, $50,000 a month, it's just because that prospect likely can't afford it. But for $20,000, if you can truly 100% fulfill that gap, then that's the type of price you can charge, right? And that's the power of creating an offer that solves the entirety of your customer's gap. The problem is though, is that most coaches, consultants, and agency owners, right? And the ones that are targeting other coaches, consultants, and agency owners are selling something like this, right? They're selling attention and leads, right? So think ad agencies, appointment setting agencies, right? Personal branding coaches, okay? The problem is that attention and leads, what they're selling, doesn't truly bridge the gap from their current and desired situation. And because they can't truly solve the entirety of the gap, that's why they're charging like $2,000 a month or $3,000 up front. Or I've even seen $1,500 offers, right? Think about how ridiculous that is. That's insane, right? For a B2B offer to be charging $1,500 to $2,000, you're never going to scale to 50 and 100K a month and beyond, okay? Because attention and leads isn't worth the entirety of the gap. It doesn't solve and bridge the entirety of the gap, right? Because the attention and leads doesn't matter if what you're selling, right? So your offer is shit, okay? You can have all the attention in the world, but if it's going to a shitty offer and a shitty product, you're never going to scale to 50K a month and beyond, right? And even if you have a good offer and you're getting attention to that offer, if you don't have conversion mechanisms in place, right, and you suck at sales and you can't actually convert that attention into consultations and then into clients, you're never going to fully get the result that you want, which is money, right? And this is why you see so many coaches, consultants, and agency owners not making money, financial guarantees, right? That's why they're not offering financial guarantees. That's why instead they're guaranteeing stuff like views, booked appointments, new followers, clients. Well, the truth of the matter is that nobody cares about these things, right? The only thing that people in this industry specifically care about is making money, right? What is a view going to do for you? What is a booked appointment going to do for you? What even is a client going to do for you? Okay, the fact of the matter is nobody cares about any of that shit. The only thing that people care about in this life are health, wealth, and relationships, right? So can it make me live longer? Can it make me more money? And can it get me more life partners, right? So in this scenario specifically, right, these prospects want money. They want to increase the revenue in their business, right? That's why you see the best coaches, the coaches that are most successful in this space, right? Think Serge Guattari, okay, offering big financial guarantees, right? Like scaling your business to 50 or 100K a month guaranteed, right? Instead of something arbitrary that nobody actually cares about and has no impact on your life, like views, booked appointments, new followers, or clients. So we established that we want to have a monetary financial guarantee, okay? But to actually make that guarantee, you have to create an offer that solves the entirety of the gap, like I said, right? You have to truly bridge and create an offer that solves the gap for your customers. That's when you can charge something like $20,000, okay? Now, how do you figure out the gap, right? How do you actually create an offer that truly solves the gap, regardless of what your industry is, right? Well, it's simply identifying every single possible failure scenario for your delivery fulfillment and reverse engineering the solutions, right? So in other terms, figuring out every single possible way your dream client could fail at achieving their dream desired situation based on where they currently are, right? And then creating mechanisms, right, to avoid those failure scenarios. Let me give you an example. So for a BizOps offer, right, for a B2B offer that's selling to coaches, consultants, and agency owners and helping them scale their businesses, right, you have a bunch of different failure scenarios, right? You have a bunch of different ways you can fail, right? Like not generating enough reach, right? Not retaining enough of the attention, okay? Not starting enough conversations, just not having a conversion mechanism, right? Having a low open rate on your messages, right? Prospects not replying to your messages. Prospects ghosting you, okay? Having no-shows on your sales calls, right? Having prospects not showing up to the sales calls, that means the same thing, right? Closing below 30%, right? If you can't actually convert the attention you have at above a 30% clip, you're never going to scale, right? You're also not going to be able to scale if you're selling for too cheap of a price. That's why I'm making this video, right? You're also not going to be able to scale if your fulfillment's unleveraged, okay? And if you're helping your prospects implement these changes and they're taking too long to implement them, they're never going to achieve the 50K a month that they want within the 90 or 120 day span of your program. So what you need to do is after you've mapped out every single possible way your clients could fail, you then want to create mechanisms to avoid those failure scenarios, right? So let's take a look at some examples. If they're not generating enough reach, well, they need to be posting, right? They need a minimum of 5 short form reels a week, right? They need to be having $50 a day minimum in ad spend, right? They need to be doing 300 a day cold outreach messages, right? So maybe you only have one of these, maybe you have all 3, right? Well, if the creative quality is poor, then they need to source, train, place, and editor, right? If the copy in their videos is really bad, then you got to help them with hook crafting, scripting, and coaching, right? Or with scripting frameworks and having coaching calls with them, right? And the list goes on. For example, right, if they have a low open rate, then you can do a done with you setting script for them, right? If they're not closing, right, then you can place a closer from your talent pool, right? You got to figure out a way to make it so that every single possible failure scenario that they can face, okay, you have a mechanism in place to help them avoid that failure scenario. Now, if you're scared and you're thinking, well, how can I get access to all the mechanisms that I need to help my clients avoid their failure scenarios, right? Then what you need to understand is that the best coaches, consultants, and agency owners are also the best capital allocators, right? So you might be thinking, well, I don't have the bandwidth, right, to invest in a systems integrator, or I don't have the money to hire a closer, right, or an appointment setting manager to place appointment setting teams for my clients, right? It doesn't matter, okay? Because what you can do is you can pitch this offer, right? You can pitch this incredible, awesome offer, okay? And because you're charging a lot of money for it, okay, you can take some of that money and reinvest it back into the fulfillment of the promise you made, right? It's completely ethical. It's completely okay to do that, right? It's completely okay to take the money your clients are giving you, right? And then once they've given you money and once you've validated this offer, taking some of that money and reinvesting it into people, into talent, into systems, into processes that are going to help you actually deliver on the promise you made. That's completely okay, and it's what I'd actually recommend doing. So if you're able to identify these failure scenarios and create mechanisms to help your clients avoid them, then you will quite literally make it impossible for your dream clients to fail as long as they do what needs to be done. And what this will do is create a positive flywheel where on the front end, you're having more people say yes to your offer because you're able to offer something that actually speaks to what they truly want, which is wealth, which is money, not booked appointments, not views, not clients, right? It speaks to what they actually want, right? Their most inherent desire. And it gets you more money on the back end as well. Because because your clients are now getting good results, now they're going to refer you to their friends and their family. They're going to record a testimonial for you. They're going to be a strong case study, allowing you to get even more clients. Now, a bonus tip. One of the easiest ways to get more people to say yes to your offer is to introduce an extremely risk-averse guarantee, right? So let me give you an example, okay? I will let 50K in new revenue to your business in the next 90 days, guaranteed, or you don't pay, right? That's an insanely powerful offer, and it gets a ton of people to say yes, right? But how can you actually guarantee such a result? Well, what you can do, okay, is what you need to do rather, is you need to first figure out all the leading indicators to success, right? The leading indicators that would make it completely unreasonable for your clients not to succeed. And then you need to break down the tangible things that they must have done to actually receive the guarantee you're offering them, right? So you figure out what are the leading indicators for my clients to actually succeed and achieve the dream desired situation that they want, right? And then what are the tangible things that they must actually do to be able to receive the guarantee? And then, and only then, will you actually have to fulfill on the guarantee. So here's an example of a B2B offer, right? Someone helping coaches, consultants, and agency owners scale their business, okay? Well, you figure out the leading indicators of success, right? So, well, you need to be generating enough attention. If you're generating enough attention, right, through all three avenues, organic content, ads, and setters, then it'd be completely unreasonable for you not to succeed, right? It'd also be unreasonable for you not to succeed and achieve 50K a month in 90 days if your offer is really strong, right? If you have a strong offer that people want, that's expensive, right? Then you're going to make the money that you need, right? And if you're starting enough conversations with people, right? If you're starting enough conversations with the market at mass, you're going to have the lead flow to actually succeed, right? And if you have a high show up rate, if people are actually showing up to your sales calls, nurtured, educated, ready to buy, then it's going to be very unreasonable for you not to succeed. And if you're closing above a 30% rate, then you're going to be converting enough of the consultations that you generated from the rest of these things that you're going to actually achieve the 50K in new revenue that you wanted. And then once you've figured out the leading indicators to success, then you want to break down the tangible things they must have done, right? So for generating attention through organic content, they must be posting a minimum of 5 short form content pieces per week, right? For ads, okay, they must spend $50 a day in ad spend, right? For setting, they must have a minimum of 300 outbound setter messages a day, right? For offer resonance, they must follow the company. They must follow your recommendations on offer formation and market selection, right? Because if they're not following your recommendations on that stuff, you can't actually guarantee that they're going to succeed. Now, to ensure that your clients are actually starting enough conversations with the market at mass, you can make them tangibly implement the company's social funnel and keyword strategy and accept a placement of the company setter that you give them. Now, to make sure people are showing up, right, you can make it mandatory for them to implement the SMS and text nurturing sequences via your Go High Level snapshot. And to make sure that your client is actually closing 30% of all sales calls they get, right? If their closing rate falls below 30%, you can just fire them and place a company closer for them instead that's actually trained and knows what they're doing. So what this does is actually creates a win-win situation, right? We're in scenario A, okay? The client meets all the KPIs and achieves the result they wanted with your program and records a killer testimonial for you and refers you to all their friends, right? That's what we want, Okay? Now, in the worst situation, that's still a win, right? The client doesn't meet the KPIs, but you're protected from refunding them. Now, in the second scenario, which is worse, okay, but it's still a win for you, because the client doesn't meet the KPIs, you're protected from actually refunding them, right? So what you want to do essentially, right, is you want to figure out the things that would make it unreasonable for your clients not to succeed, right? And then you want to break down tangibly what they must have done. And then if they do those things and they still don't get the result that they want, is when you actually refund them, right? But the idea is, if they do those things, it should quite literally be impossible for them to fail, right? Look at these things, okay? If you were to do all of this as a coach, consultant, or agency owner, there's no way you wouldn't hit 50K a month within the next 90 or 120 days. But again, for both scenarios, you were able to charge more for your offer and get them to say yes to it when they previously wouldn't have, because you added a form of risk reversal and a conditional guarantee. Now we can look at Hormozzi's value equation, right? Where dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement divided by time delay times effort and sacrifice equals value, right? What you're doing by creating a conditional guarantee is increasing the likelihood, okay? Or rather increasing the perceived likelihood of achievement for your clients, right? If you're offering them a crazy guarantee that only hurts you, then they're going to think, okay, well, I'm actually definitely going to succeed because he wouldn't be offering it otherwise, right? And what that does is when they think the perceived likelihood of achievement is higher, when they think that the actual top line of this equation is high because you're selling a large dream outcome, which is financial, and they have a high perceived likelihood of achievement with the guarantee, then guess what? Value is going to go up, meaning you can charge higher prices. Okay, awesome. You've created a no-brainer product, okay? But this product's expensive, okay? It is, as it should be. Okay, which leads us to our second objection, which is price, right? And people saying, I can just find this for cheaper. How do you go about handling that? Well, if you find that people are saying, I can find this for cheaper, then you need to create an offer that they can't find anywhere else, period, right? The solution is not competing on your price and selling the transformation you're promising for pennies on the dollar, right? The only way to become competitive on a commodity, right, is to lower your price and be cheaper than the rest of the market. But we've already covered how that's dangerous for your business and how you're going to cap yourself at how much money you can actually make doing that, right? So the solution to this is creating an uncommoditized offer that's different from what everyone else in your industry is selling. And you do this through productization. Now I want to ask you a question. How many of these offers have you seen, right? I will scale your ads to 50K a month guaranteed. I help skinny entrepreneurs put on 15 pounds of muscle in 90 days. I will help grow your personal brand by 10,000 followers in 90 days, or you don't pay. Or I will install an appointment setting team to book 30 qualified sales calls for your agency every month. These offers fucking suck, right? And the reason they suck isn't because even the dream desired situation isn't there, or even because the guarantee is weak, right? It's because everyone is selling these same exact offers, right? Now I want to ask you a question. How many of these offers have you seen? Our 7-hour nurturing funnel will scale your acquisition to 50K a month guaranteed. Our composition incubator will add 15 pounds of muscle to your physique in just 90 days. Our personal brand combinator will add 10,000 followers to your own media channels in 90 days, or you don't pay. And our appointment accelerator will book 30 qualified sales calls for your agency per month on autopilot. You see that difference here? Well, there actually is no difference, okay? Because these things, these mechanisms that I'm speaking about are the exact same thing as these offers I just said, right? The exact same thing. All I did though was I productized the commoditized. And that took me like, what, a minute, 2 minutes to think of, right? So instead of just being an ad agency, right, the thousands of other ad agencies out there, you can sell an infrastructure. You can sell a product, right? Which is called the 7-hour nurturing funnel, okay? Instead of being a fitness coach, like the thousands, rather millions of fitness coaches out there, okay, you can sell the composition incubator. Instead of being a content marketing coach that it seems like everyone is trying to be, you can instead sell the personal brand combinator. And instead of being one of the thousands of appointment setting agencies out there, you can sell the appointment accelerator, right? All of these things are simply reframing the typical service that the market provides, right? Agencies, coaching, and consulting, right? And turning it into a product, a unique mechanism, an infrastructure that you can help implement into their businesses, right? And what this will do is it will enact shiny object syndrome in your prospect psyche and get more people to say yes because it's unlike anything else they've tried and failed with in the past, right? People have failed with ads already. They failed with fitness coaching. They failed with content. They've already failed, okay, with appointment setting. They failed with all of these people, right? We're in a trust recession, okay? The market's been burned by too many people trying to create stupid $100 million offers that they can't actually fulfill on, right? So to differentiate yourself, in the market, you have to productize your service and sell something no one else is selling, right? Because if you don't, then you're gonna have to convince people that you're just better at running ads than the last guy. If you're a fitness coach, you're gonna have to convince people that your fitness program is somehow miraculously better than other people's, right? And even if it is, your prospect is not gonna believe you because they've already been burned by your competitors. Okay, now that begs the question, what if they love the product, but they just genuinely can't afford it? It's not like they can find anywhere else. It's not like they don't like it and they don't think it can help them. But what if they actually just can't afford it? Well, to actually solve that issue, we first need to understand the pricing model that actually works the best for coaches, consultants, and agency owners, right? Selling B2B offers, okay? And that consists of 3 components, right? Number 1, an upfront fee, okay, and a large upfront fee. Because you want to be paid upfront so that you can immediately reinvest that money back into acquisition and create a flywheel of growth for your business, right? You also want to get your hands dirty. You want to get a piece of the pie that you're adding to your clients' businesses, right? You want a rev share component, okay? Because if you can scale one of your clients from 10K a month to 50K a month, right? And you can take like 15% of the $40,000 a month that you added, then you're making a lot of money on the back end, right? That money adds up. And in fact, this is where you're going to make most of your money as you get really good at fulfilling your service with the rev share, right? And now it's also important to have recurring revenue on the back end, right? So what we want to do with our pricing model, okay, is we want to increase the LTV, the lifetime value of our customer. And we can do that by charging a lot of money up front, getting a piece of the pie in the rev share, and also having a recurring revenue aspect, right? Where after you fulfill on the promise, right, over the 3, 4, 6 month span that your offer actually lasts, right, you can then have recurring revenue, right? You can have the recurring revenue for access to talent pools, for repeated consulting, right? Some way for your clients to get direct access to you for much longer than the actual program time. So here are some example prices, okay? $6,000 upfront plus 15% of added bottom line revenue for 3 months after the installation of your systems, plus $1,000 optional retainer for repeated consulting, right? So upfront, $6,000, okay? And then 15% of whatever revenue you add to their business for 3 months, okay? After the installation of the systems. And then an optional $1,000 retainer for repeated consulting, right? Very, very strong pricing model there, okay? Maybe, okay, you don't really want to get a rev share. Maybe the target market that you're in, their businesses are already growing as is, and they don't want to be giving up a big piece of the pie, which is fair enough, right? Then you can just do $10,000 up front plus $1,000 a month access, or plus $1,000 a month for access to a talent pool that you have, right? Maybe you have a talent pool of triagers, setters, closers, editors, timestampers, creative directors. That doesn't matter, right? But having a upfront and also a recurring revenue to increase LTV. Or maybe you're selling to a financial segment that's a lot less qualified, right? Like business owners that are just starting out, right? Looking to scale from like 0 to 3, 5K a month to like 10K a month and beyond, right? Maybe then you only want to charge 4K up front, okay? And then you want to take 25% of their added bottom line revenue though, right? So if you're helping a business scale from the ground up, okay, that's when you'll find that getting revenue, right? Getting bottom line revenue for whatever you can add is going to be awesome. You can also do something like $8,000 up front and then take 10% of whatever revenue you add for 4 months. So all of these are great examples of different pricing models that you can have for your offer. Now, a big part of the reason why we have 3 different components in our pricing model is because it allows us to offer concessions, right? And it makes it rather way easier to offer concessions because they're already kind of built into our offer in a way. Now, in my opinion, when you're first starting off, you don't want to say no to a customer unless you really have to, right? If your customer genuinely can't afford the upfront investment, but they're actually invested, they want to join the program, okay, but they're just falling a little bit short of the upfront investment required, okay? You have to be willing to offer concessions, right? Especially if your personal brand isn't very big, especially if you're first starting off, okay? You want to be willing to offer concessions, okay? So let me give you some tips for this, okay? Number one, always have a minimum amount of money you're willing to accept on a sales call, right? So while I did say have or be willing rather to go down on your upfront investment, okay? Always have a minimum amount, right? Figure out how much your time is truly worth, okay? And have a minimum amount of money that you're ever going to be willing to accept, okay? Number two, always negotiate the price terms before negotiating the price amount, right? So if someone can't afford your upfront fee, for example, let's say you're selling a $10,000 product, okay? And they just genuinely can't afford it, okay? What you should do, instead of lowering the total investment amount, right? Instead, split it into payment plans, right? So negotiate the price terms. So you'll get $5,000 up front and then $5,000 the next month, for example, right? Always do that, okay? Always negotiate the terms of the pricing before negotiating the actual amount, right? Because if you lower your price from $10,000 to $6,000 after they gave you some pushback, you're going to look like a cuck. You're going to look like a scum. You're going to be someone that they can't trust, and you're going to end up losing the deal entirely, right? Because they're going to think, well, if you could have just sold me for $6,000, then why didn't you do that, right? Always negotiate the price terms if your prospect can't afford it, that is, okay, before negotiating the actual price amount. And number three, determine if you want different packages for different prices, right? So a lot of people, okay, when they charge a super, super high ticket offer, like 15, 20K, they'll have kind of a lower ticket or a mid ticket offer, right? That's anywhere from 3 to 6K to actually sell people that aren't ready to make the 15K investment yet or the 20K investment yet, but they can get them a quick win with some other processes, right? So maybe instead of giving them the entirety, the full stack offer, maybe you can just give them a small part of the offer so that they can see a quick win with it and they can reinvest the money they make back into the higher ticket program, right? With the 3 or 6K or whatever it is you're selling as kind of the entry level package, acting as a down payment for the higher ticket package where they receive the entire stack. So let me actually give you a sequence of events that you should go through when someone genuinely cannot afford your service, but is actually sold on the product itself, right? Number one, you want to pitch the full price. Okay, so whatever price you decided, okay, on the front end, let's say it's $6,000 and 15% of added bottom line revenue, right? That's your price, okay? Let's say they can't afford that. They're bought, they're sold, they really want to buy, okay? But they just can't afford the 6K, okay? So then what you want to do is option number two is move to payment plans that add up to the paid in full, right? So maybe you'll do 3K up front, 3K the next month, and then 15% of bottom line revenue, right? So this will allow them to get started for 3K as an initial investment, but, okay, as they start getting some new revenue coming into the business and start seeing some quick wins with the program, right, they can repay the $3,000 the month after, right? Number three, okay, is partial upfront and the rest based on performance, right? So let's say you have a client, right, whose business isn't doing very well. They're not making a lot of money every month, okay? And you think that it'll take you more than 30 days to actually get the additional payment plan, or more than 60 days, or however much you split the payment plan into, right? What you can do, okay, is you can take partial upfront and then take the rest based on performance, right? So you can take 3K upfront and then an additional 3K. So take this full 6K, the additional 3K that's required to make it 6K when the client makes the $3,000, right? So it's incentivized on their end. They pay you something upfront, right? Not the entire thing. And they'll only have to pay you the rest, okay, once they make it from your program, right? So it's performance based. And also taking some sort of bottom line revenue there as well. Now, if your prospect is really tight on budget and they're not confident that they'll be able to recoup that additional $3,000 that they need with your program fast enough and still have money left over for rent, food, whatever it is, right? Then what you can actually do is you can lower the initial investment, right? But also increase the rev share you take, right? So make your money back in that way, right? Now again, right, if you're taking rev share, you do actually have to deliver awesome results for your prospects, or for your clients rather. That is mandatory. Now let's say your prospect just can't afford the upfront investment. And let's say they also don't want to give up a piece of the pie in their business because they think they won't be able to recoup the revenue that they're giving you back to their business fast enough, right? Then what you can do then, okay, is lower the price, but make them do something for you in return, right? It is super important. It is imperative that you do not lower the price for your product or service without getting something in return, right? That in one way or another can be perceived as adding up to the full price, right? Because again, like I said, you're going to look like a cuck. You're going to look like a scam artist. You're going to look like someone who just tries to take every last dollar from your clients, okay? Which is why you wanted to do this, right? Maybe you'll offer $3,000 up front, okay, 15% of added bottom line revenue, okay? But because they're only paying you 3K instead of 6K, and they're not giving you a higher rev share to compensate for it, they have to record a testimonial for you and do a sit-down interview talking about the results they got with their program, right? Now, this is a great way to go about it, okay? Because not only are they feeling special because you give them a discount, okay? But they know that this guy's confident he's gonna get me results because he's gonna make me record a testimonial and do a sit-down interview that you can put on YouTube talking about the results that you got with the program after you actually got them the results. Now, this sequence of events is exactly why you always want to lead with a super expensive price, right? This is why I'm such a big proponent of increasing, doubling, tripling your prices if you can, right? Because when you're initially pitching it, if your prospect can't afford it, okay, then you can always lower your price after to make something work for them, okay? However, if you pitch something, right, if you have a prospect that's willing to pay you $10,000, but you pitch them a $4,000 product, then you're missing out on $6,000 that you could have gotten if you had just pitched them the 10K, right? But if you have a prospect that only can afford $4,000, but you're selling a $10,000 product, then you can make the price work for them. You can always lower the price, but once you give them a price, you can't go any higher than that. Now, if you have framed the rest of the sales call right, you will almost always get a win by step number 5, right? I cannot remember the last time I got a no on step number 5. Okay, so that leads us to our third and final objection, which is lifestyle, right? So hopefully by this point in the video, you've thought about ways to turn your offer into a strong no-brainer product that solves the entirety of your customer's gap and bridges them from their current and desired situation. Hopefully you've also turned your offer into a unique mechanism and the product that's different from what the rest of your market is selling. So if you've thought about ways to do that and you're planning on implementing it, then the last objection you can possibly face is lifestyle. And all this means is that your prospect thinks that it doesn't fit in with number one, the time they have, or number two, the way they currently go about operating their business. Now, 9 times out of 10, the solution to this objection is simply creating an offer that doesn't deleverage your customer's time. Right now, about 10% of the time, okay, you're gonna have a prospect where the offer that you've created just simply doesn't fit into like the way they do business, right? It doesn't make sense for them to implement it into their current business infrastructure, right? You're gonna have that about 10% of the time. But the rest 90% of the time when you get a lifestyle objection, you could have just solved by creating an offer that doesn't deleverage your time. So when we look at offer creation, we also need to look at the 3 pillars of fulfillment, right? Because all an offer is a promise you're making to someone, and you actually have to fulfill on that promise, right? Now, how do you go about fulfilling on that promise, right? Well, you do it through 3 pillars of fulfillment, right? So insights, the things that your clients need to know, right? Systems, the resources that your clients need, and talent, the people that help your clients, right? These are the only ways to actually fulfill on anything. These are the 3 pillars of fulfillment. Now, what you need to do to take all of these aspects in your business and actually make it in a way where it deleverages your customer's time is you need to take all these and turn it into an infrastructure, right? What do I mean by that? Well, essentially, what I mean by an infrastructure, okay, is a standardized product. This goes into the productization of your offer, okay? It's defining clear deliverables for your offer, turning it into an infrastructure, and helping your clients implement the infrastructure that you've already built one time. Now, instead of doing what every coach, consultant, and agency owner does, where the things that their clients need to know are conveyed through hand-holding on client coaching calls, right? 3, 4, 5 coaching calls a week, repeating the same information you've had to repeat to every single other one of your clients, right? Where the systems, the resources that they need is stuff that you're hopping on calls with them and sitting there and helping them create it themselves from scratch, right? And instead of the talent literally being the client themselves, the only person actually helping the client take some of the menial tasks off their plate is themselves. What you need to do instead, right, is scratch that, okay? Completely delete that mind frame out of your fulfillment model, okay? And instead, share your insights. Share the things that your clients need to know with video modules that speak about the things that they need to know, right? The video modules that you can create one time and share at mass to your clients so that they can revisit it whenever they want, right? Having systems in place, right? And rather templated plug and play systems, right? Templated plug and play resources that your clients can implement immediately and see quick results with, right? And then talent, hiring people, having a team of people that can take care of the menial tasks for your clients and help them along their journey. If you can package your insights into video modules that explain the information for you. If you can take the things that they're going to need to actually use and make it into templated plug and play resources you can help them implement, and if you can take some of the workload off their plate by placing talent in their businesses, then you're going to make a lot of money. So to repeat, what you need to do is you need to package these to create a repeatable process and define the clear deliverables that your clients need to succeed so that you're truly able to productize your offer, right? And what this will do is this will allow you to move away from selling a commoditized consulting service and into selling an infrastructure where all you need to do is help implement the processes you've already built at one time. This is what a true build and release offer is, right? It's extremely leveraged in not only the way you go about fulfilling, but also leverage for your clients. And it truly removes themselves from the fulfillment, and it gives them no reason to think that they don't have the time or the bandwidth to actually complete your service. Now, the result of this, okay, is often a service that's easier to sell, scale, and deliver consistently, much like a physical product. You want to move away from this consulting, mentorship, inner circle offer that so many people are selling, and instead sell a productized infrastructure, okay, that has clear deliverables that people are going to receive, okay, which allows you to differentiate yourself from the market and sell, scale, and deliver much more consistently than your traditional consulting service would be able to. So we spoke earlier about how you want to figure out every single possible way your clients could fail at achieving their dream desired situation based off where they currently are, and then create mechanisms to help avoid those failure scenarios. There's also a third step of this, right? It's defining the delivery process. Now, each of the three pillars of fulfillment that we spoke about earlier, okay, so insights, systems, and talent, actually correspond with DIY, DWY, and DFY, right? Do it yourself, done with you, and done for you, okay? So I've renamed DIY here into consulting because consulting is a much better way to put DIY. It sounds a lot better, right? But essentially, okay, you want to figure out how you're actually going to deliver on these mechanisms, right? So a lot of them, okay, are going to be video modules. Every consulting aspect here is going to be a video module, right? Every done for you aspect, okay, everything that's going to be done for you is going to be a piece of talent, right? So editors, timestampers, appointment setters, triagers, closers, growth consultants, systems integrators, the list goes on, right? If you're a big content offer, okay, maybe you want to place editors, timestampers, creative directors, right? If you have like a sales offer, a sales process offer, right? You can place appointment setters, triagers, closers, right? Maybe you're a big systems offer. You can have a systems integrator helping implement different systems into not only their business, but also their client's business. But if you're selling a really good offer and you're solving the entirety of the gap, you can even have all of these things. And then the things that are done with you, right, are the templated plug and play resources, right? And this includes spreadsheets, go high level sequences, Zapier automations, AI operating systems, scripts, frameworks, etc. The list goes on. So it's figuring out how you're going to actually deliver on these different mechanisms that you're promising to your clients, right? Are you going to have them do it themselves? Are you going to help do it with them? Or are you going to do it completely for them, right? Once you figure that out, you can make plans to actually create the material necessary for this. Okay, so to recap, to double your price, you need to handle every potential objection before they even arise. Okay, you don't want to wait till the sales call to actually handle the objection once you've given them the price, right? You want to have those objections handled, right? Simply in the construction of your offer, okay? And doing this, if you can do this correctly, you will quite literally 2x, 3x, or even 5x your revenue within months. I promise, okay? Because I've done it myself for my clients, right? ETN went from 5K a month to 43K a month in 60 days. Faham went from 12K a month to 68K a month in 90 days. And Sarvesh went from 500 a month to 16K a month in 7 days. Right? Now, there was other things that went into this, right? We did help them with their acquisition, their sales processes, right? We did solve the entirety of their gap. But the offer was the first thing that we did and what I found to be the leading indicator for success. Now, if you've watched all the way through and you're wondering, how do I figure out how to actually get attention to the offer? How to turn that attention into qualified consultations, and how to convert those consultations into paying customers, or you just want your offer created, done for you, and scale to 50K a month and beyond without you even having to lift a finger, then all you need to do is click the link in my bio and book in a call so I can explain to you how exactly our infrastructure works, how you can implement it into your own business, and how you can repurpose that infrastructure and actually sell it to your clients as well. What I'm first going to do on this call is figure out what you're currently doing, right? Figure out your current situation, how you're currently going about acquiring new clients, how you're currently going about growing your business, figuring out your current business infrastructure, and then figuring out your desired situation, where you're looking to get to in the next 90 to 120 days, what bottlenecks you're facing, right? And then, if I think you're a good fit, I'll make you an offer that solves the entirety of your gap based on wherever it is you currently are and to wherever it is you want to get to. So if that seems like something that could potentially interest you, then book in a call in the description below. But if not, subscribe for more value, and I'll see you guys in the next one.